get to Chelsea now, and the focus is on sales. RB Leipzig are in talks with Chelsea over the signing of Christopher Nkunku after having previously rejected a loan move from Bayern Munich on Sunday. Chelsea value the France international at £43 million this summer. I mean, Dan, one thing Chelsea are very good at, it feels like, it is getting players out. This saga has been going on for far too long, involving someone like Christopher Nkunku, who, you know, we saw the levels he reached before he came to Chelsea. So does this feel like inevitable now to Leipzig on a permanent deal? Yeah,
obviously the player and the club both want a permanent deal. I think the loan move to Bayern didn't transpire because of the loan. But yeah, it's a strange one. He just hasn't settled. He come in with a big fee. Really good reputation from Leipzig, scored a lot of goals. He wasn't traditionally a number 9, actually. I think they moved him into that position. Scored a lot of goals, got his big move to Chelsea, and then he got injured very early. And since that injury, just hasn't come back and hasn't been able to get a run in the side at all. So I think it's now time to move on. I mean, look, the £43 million they're asking for is a hell of a lot of money. I think they're going to get it. I'm not sure, but Chelsea do what Chelsea do, and they do generate money from sales.
I hope Chelsea do get it, Dan. I hope they do. It's almost a domino effect, isn't it, Michael, that, you know, if they can get this one over the line, it then gives them the ability to bring maybe a couple more attackers in. Yeah, look, I think we know from the last few weeks that Enzo Maresca is looking to bring a few more wide players in. Alejandro Garnacho, Xavi Simons is a quality player as well. But look, Chelsea have to adhere to the FFP rules for UEFA. They had that fine, didn't they, earlier in the summer? They've agreed to have this positive transfer balance. So look, I'm not Gordon Gekko, but if you spend 300 million, you've got to bring 300 million in as well. But look, they do it pretty well, Chelsea. It's got to be said. I mean, especially this summer as well, Michael. Just how well have Chelsea sold this summer? Sometimes I look at it. I look at the two North London clubs. Sometimes I think they, you know, when they're looking to sell players, you know, they sometimes struggle in terms of the fees. But look at that, 24 players sold, £186.6 million. Now, a few years ago, under the new takeover with Chelsea, there was a bit of what's going on here. But look, I said before, I think, you know, Enzo Maresca, OK, Conference League, they were favourites, clear favourites to win that. But Champions League qualification secured. And then out of nowhere, winning the Club World Cup. He's done all right.
Yeah, well, that's obviously generated a lot of funds, didn't it? So that paid for João Pedro, paid for Delap pretty much straight away. So that tournament was great for them. The academy system that they run there is excellent, and they sign so many players, and eventually they churn them out. And obviously, with the PSR, it's full profit, so they're doing a fantastic job. Yeah, and you can see the money that Chelsea have recouped this summer, but there are a long list, Michael, of players that Chelsea still need to sell. Yeah, it's like an Argos catalogue. But I mean, look, we're saying about 300 million in, 300 million out. I mean, look, Christopher Nkunku there, Nicholas Jackson being linked with a move away. Let's spin me around again. Here we go. So, I mean, these are players not considered to have a future at Chelsea. Raheem Sterling, he was the talk of last season's deadline day. Where's he going to end up? And Ben Chilwell, you know, he spent the second half of last season on loan at Crystal Palace. Look, they're going to sell. They're going to bring money in, Chelsea. They want to bring these players in. But, of course, they've got to have this positive transfer balance. But I'd say positive. Everything seems to be positive so far at Chelsea. Dan, when you look at that list of players we have just seen, as a player, you know, those players are going to want to get out there. They're not going to want to be sat at Chelsea not playing football. So for them, they're going to be desperate. But if they don't have any offers, it's going to be really tough for them. What do they do if that then doesn't happen? Yeah, I mean, I look at Sterling's situation. He's got kids. They're in school. One's in Arsenal Academy, I know. So for him, he wants to move local. So I look at Fulham, I look at West Ham, I look at the London clubs for a loan, but then it's wages and it's so. I mean, a few clubs abroad would probably want him, but would he actually want to go abroad at this stage of his career? He's won everything in the game. He's played at every top club. Does he feel now he needs to go and prove himself at another big club abroad? Probably not. I think with Raheem, he's got 3 years left of his deal. Quite cosy, I guess. So a loan to a London club would probably suit him the best. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with all of those players that Chelsea are looking to get out. Well, the deal for that man behind us, Christopher Nkunku, could potentially have a domino effect for Alejandro Garnacho. Yesterday, we told you that Manchester United winger turned down a move to Bayern Munich as he only wants Chelsea.
I mean, Dan, turning down Bayern Munich, listen, we all know that I would love it if players, want to come to Chelsea. But turning down Bayern Munich is quite something.
It's very brave, because if Chelsea doesn't materialise, then he's stuck at Manchester United. Yeah. And this Chelsea deal is not done at all. They obviously need to sell one or two before this happens. Whether they go for Simons before Garnacho as well, and then that space is blocked, I don't know. They could even do full swing and go Eze. They could nick Eze off Spurs.
I'd like that.
I'm going to throw that one in there.
Steady on. Steady on.
I knew you wouldn't like that one. But no, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, really. Garnacho to Bayern, I mean, it's two big clubs. But like I said, it's very, very brave.
Why do you think it's just Chelsea? Why has he only got his eyes for Chelsea? And it's, I suppose, the same with Xavi Simons. There's other clubs interested in him, but for some reason, those two have their hearts set on joining Chelsea.
I think it's probably the long-standing interest as well. Players do like living in London, let's be honest. There are plenty of Argentinians. I mean, you mentioned something. Christian Romero has just extended his contract. They are, it's settling, it's feeling. I think sometimes we don't fully appreciate these are very young people. It doesn't matter how much you earn, it takes a lot to move away. New language, it's a lot for young lads, So if he's happy, he might have his family over here. And also, it is the lure of London, but also, I think that long-standing interest from Chelsea has probably attracted him as well.
I mean, Dan, obviously, from a player's perspective, obviously, when you move, and you've moved around, when you do move, what things did you have to consider when we're moving to different clubs?
Look, I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't getting linked with Bayern and Chelsea, these types of clubs, but location definitely has a factor. I think if you're a big enough profile, big enough player, you can not pick your location, but you can bear that in mind. Obviously, children, I don't know if he has kids or he's very young. Yeah. So again, schools and things like that will all come into play. But Bayern is Garnacho for me. Look, he showed glimpses of his quality at Manchester United, but he just hasn't showed it enough. It was a bit like Jadon Sancho. There's glimpses there. We know there's a player there. It's just who can get the best out of him. He obviously believes Enzo Maresca is the guy that can get the best out of him.
Will Alejandro Garnacho end up at Chelsea? We shall see. Right, time now for our transfer update. Liverpool target Alexander Isak says his relationship with Newcastle can't continue and change is in the best interests of everyone as he accused the club of broken promises over his future. Newcastle responded by refuting Isak's suggestion he was told he could leave this summer. Tottenham remain in talks with Crystal Palace over Ebere Eze, but the South London club wants a replacement before considering his sale. Crystal Palace defender Mark Gay is preparing to play in tomorrow's Conference League playoff first leg against Norwegian side Fredrikstad, with no breakthrough yet between Palace and Liverpool. Nottingham Forest are making progress in talks with Juventus over a deal for former Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz. Yoane Wissa was pictured training with Brentford's first team as he waits for a move to Newcastle United to materialise. The striker this week deleted all references to Brentford from his Instagram. Jadon Sancho has decided to explore his other options after Roma made a £20 million bid for the Manchester United forward, although the Italian club have not given up hope of signing him. Chelsea will only sign Alejandro Garnacho and Xavi Simons if at least two first-team forwards leave before the window closes. Leeds United have agreed a deal with AC Milan for the permanent signing of Noah Okafor. Atalanta have moved on from Fulham's Rodrigo Muniz and agreed a deal to sign Lecce striker Nikola Kristovic, according to Sky in Italy. And Newcastle have rejected an approach from Ipswich to take Lewis Miley on loan for the season.